What's good, everyone? Welcome to a very special video. This is probably going to be my most valuable video that I ever drop on this channel, because this is the 4 years of hell that I went through put into a video. So you can use the exact process that I used to overcome DPDR that took me years to understand in weeks. This is something that if I would have had when I was in the depths of my struggle, if I would have had when I was at the deepest derealization, having every single symptom that you can name, if I would have had it then, I would have saved 4 years of my life. That's 4 years I could have gotten back. So this isn't a video you should take lightly, because this is everything. This is my life's work put into a video. I highly recommend you watch this video from the beginning to the end so you can see exactly what the process is to overcome DPDR. And another huge thing is, information without implementation doesn't mean shit. If you can take notes on this video, understand every single part of my process, and actually go out and implement, that's where the progress comes. So this is my life's work. This is everything that I've ever learned about DPDR put into the video for you so you can get the fastest recovery possible. Wish you guys the best. Make sure you watch from beginning to the end.
Alright everyone, this is how I completely recovered from DPDR in 30 days without any bullshit. So it's not going to be any grounding techniques. It's not going to be therapy. This is straight up the identity, the person you must become to fully recover from DPDR. When applied correctly, you could be recovered in days, a week, couple weeks. It all depends per person how hard you're willing to actually implement this information. But this is life-changing information, and if you watch this video from start to end, this could change your life. This is the Freedom from Within blueprint. This is my life's work, so let's get right into it. Before I implemented this method, I would try to escape my whole entire life with so many different vices. You know, I would smoke weed, watch porn, drink constantly. I just wasted my life away. I wasn't living in congruent with the man that I knew was possible. I thought I was living in a dream. You know, I thought my life was a dream. I felt like there was no way out. I had every single solitary derealization symptom you can have. The existential thoughts, the intrusive thoughts, the visual symptoms, me feeling separated, depersonalization. I wasn't in my own body. I had everything, and it was terrifying. I had the most crippling derealization, and I just never thought I would feel real again. It was the worst feeling I could ever describe to anyone. And if you're watching this video and you can relate, this video is going to be so beneficial for you. I lost who I was. You know, I felt like I would never come back. And I was just scared of life. And a lot of times I was scared of living, but I also had such a fear of death because of the DPDR that I was in this just never-ending trap state. Now that after implementing this exact method, I have 100% recovered from derealization. This isn't 50%. This isn't 60, 70, 80, 90. I am 100% recovered. I feel not only normal, but I've created someone that was not even possible before this struggle. I'm 100 times stronger, not only physically from the physique I built through this struggle, but mentally through the mind that has been sculpted throughout this struggle. I learned to build the perseverance, the consistency, the person through all this hardship. Now from that struggle I can now use. Like, I've created someone through this struggle. So I'm so much stronger than I've ever been. And I understand what it's like to be on both sides. I understand what it's like to be in this struggle and what it's like to recover from it. And that's why I've dedicated my life to build this bulletproof system so that many other people can do the exact same thing that I did for my life. You know, if you're looking to quickly recover from derealization and completely eliminate this from your life entirely, and have this full mental freedom from within you, this is going to be for you. Now, if you're seeking to feel alive and real again, this is for you. You know, if you're tired of waking up in the morning, the first thought, oh, I have derealization. Oh, I'm in this state again. Oh, it's a constant cycle. You're tired of living in that constant cycle and you want to make that change. Again, this is going to be for you. Now, if you're sick and tired of living in this mental prison, you know, I always talk about how, like, true freedom isn't having $1,000,000, all these external things, because truthfully, when I had DPDR, you could have given me anything in the world, and I would have felt lost. I would have still been in the trap. I would have still been numb. And you could have given me anything. So I realized that true freedom came from within. This is going to be for you if you want to escape that mental prison. And if you tried to recover from DPDR before, you've given it your all. You've tried for years. You've tried everything. But you always end up falling into the same exact trap. Whether it's when you recovered and you fall back into it, or whatever, you make some progress, you get 90% recovered, but you can't break through. Whatever it is, if you've tried, but you can't get out of it fully, it will change your life. This is going to be for you. Now, if you're expecting to half-ass your way out of DPDR, again, this method is simple. It's not easy. If you're expecting to half-ass your way out of it, this is not going to be for you. This is for the ambitious people who are ready to go all in for a full recovery. And if you're not willing to drop all the limiting beliefs that is stopping you from this recovery, if you're not willing to shift the identity you currently have about the world and who you are, this is not going to be for you. And if you're okay with just following the societal norms, letting them weaken you, holding you in this mental trap, this is not going to be for you. The way society is made is for us to fall into the trap of mediocrity. And if you're okay with mediocrity, if you're okay with average, sorry, but this is not going to be for you. And if you want to keep the bad habits that are keeping you in the DPDR, whether it's the vices you're in, if you're addicted to so many different vices and you're not willing to drop them on this journey to build you into someone, this is not going to be for you. And if you're okay with being in this derealization state and you aren't willing to be uncomfortable at all, if you're just so comfortable in the DPDR cycle, this is not going to be for you. This is for people who are done. They're sick and tired of this state and they're ready to get their life back. Now, here's the truth about DPDR, derealization that no one tells you. You can absolutely recover from derealization extremely quickly. You don't have to take any medication, and you don't have to spend days researching just to only make it worse. You don't need to keep looking online, searching away on Reddit forums, Google, trying to find a solution just to send you back into the feedback loop because you're searching it. Because I'm telling you, this information isn't online besides here. This is the only way you're going to figure out the truth to recovery. Everything else is just going to make it worse. And you can absolutely recover. Most people with DPDR can't recover because they don't fundamentally understand how to live in congruence with the greatest version of themselves, the version of themselves who is already recovered. They don't understand how to fully morph themselves to the ideology that they are that person. They don't understand how they can change how they look at the DPDR. And by changing your perspective of the condition, you realize that it's truly only a symptom of anxiety and that it can't get worse because you have an understanding of it to the T. And they don't understand how they can eliminate it quickly through neuroplasticity, through morphing their mind, changing the information that's going into their head to start changing their reality. They don't understand this concept. And most people, they just don't understand how to gain this control over their mind, rather than their mind controlling them. They're living as the effect to things that happen to them in this life and not the cause. It's like if you were on a ship, a lot of people are stuck in the passenger seat instead of living as the driver of the ship. But it's truly a choice, and you can truly make this decision for yourself to make this transformation. And I'm not going to let this happen to you. I'm not going to let you stay stuck in the state of not being able to fully recover, of not being able to take your life back, of not being able to force yourself out of this state. I'm not going to let you be stuck in this mental prison. No. Derealization is only as temporary as you make it. So as long as you stop giving it power, you can recover. This mindset behind 100% recovery is not easy. It's not going to be easy. It is not easy, but it is simple. It is very simple. It is very clear, which means you can do it too. And if you're watching this video, that means that you know that there is a fully recovered version of yourself that exists. And if you can conceive and believe someone or something That is living proof, 100% proof that you can achieve it. You just have to have the determination, the perseverance, the need, the ability to want to push through even when shit gets hard. You know, and if you want this fully recovered version of yourself to be you, if you want to become this person, I'm going to show you exactly how to get out of the thought loop that is keeping you in fight or flight, which is making you feel numb, it's making you feel unreal, and it's making you feel dreamlike. I'm going to show you exactly how I changed the way that I looked at derealization. So it completely stopped giving power. So I completely stopped giving it power. And when you stop giving it power, it stops giving power over your life. So I changed the way I looked at it. I'm going to teach you how exactly I did that. Also, how to eliminate derealization from your life entirely without taking any medication. So there's no medications. A lot of people are like, well, I took this antidepressant, I did this, I did that. Those are all band-aids for the problem. You're on a sinking ship. There's a hole in the ship. You can put a band-aid on it, but it's not going to fix it. We dive into the root of the issue, and that's what we're doing in this video. And finally, I'm going to teach you how to do all of this without even fighting against the DPDR. You're not even going to have resistance, because truthfully, you're going to understand the derealization to a T. You're going to understand what's going on with you. In case you don't know me, here's a brief backstory of like how I got here. So for 3 years, I thought I was never going to come back to reality. I was smoking weed. Basically, just to go back into the story, I was smoking weed 24/7. So I would smoke weed from the time I woke up to the time I went to bed. I was taking Adderall, ADHD medications. I was taking all of these vices, just drifting through life. Every single time I'd wake up and it was just me chasing dopamine, me chasing pleasure. I'd wake up, I'd watch porn, I'd drift away. I would just chase these things to try to fill this void within me. And what happened was, one time I had a panic attack when smoking weed. I was like, I was in my crash from on my ADHD medication, so I was already having anxiety, so I went to smoke. And it sent me in this cycle to where I thought I was going to die. I thought my life was over. I literally thought I was on the verge of death. And basically, from there on, I was sent into the derealization. I had visual symptoms, so that was my worst ones. I had like static everywhere. I went to the hospital because I didn't know what it was. They told me I had all these things like the schizophrenia, things like that, because they have no idea what it was. And I had no idea what it was, and it made it worse. And if you guys think you're developing schizophrenia, you think you're losing your mind, those are all symptoms of it, because that's how your fight or flight brain perceives your symptoms to be. That's not actually how it is. Now, I was in this state, and I thought I was losing my mind, and I had so much regret. I had so much shame. I just really, really hated myself. And I was forced to really go all in, to dedicate my life towards recovery. It was life or death. In this state to where I thought I was losing my mind, I got to a point. So the derealization first triggered. Now, I had phases to where it would get better, it would get worse, and I would always fall back into the derealization cycle. I never really broke free completely. And even at a certain point, I was 90% recovered for over almost a year until I understood this one concept. But, you know, like if I would have had this method back when I was struggling so much, I would have recovered so much faster. I would have saved 4 years of my life. And I don't regret a thing, though, because during this time, during this struggle, that's when I was created into the person I am now. That's when I was created. So all at once, I dedicated my life towards recovery. I dropped every single one of my vices. The porn, the nicotine, the alcohol, the weed. Every single vice that was holding me back, I had to drop towards recovery. I dedicated my life to finding a solution that would fix me. And after I understood this for myself, I have created a solution that will help anyone else struggling so they can have the same transformation that I made. Because this was me. Acne on my face. Looked ugly as shit. I looked stupid. But I was forced to create myself into someone like this. In insane shape. And that external physique represents the discipline I built during the struggle. So you build immense amounts of discipline throughout a struggle like this. And I don't think that's talked about enough. The person you become throughout this struggle. The Freedom from Within blueprint is the system that I have developed with all of the trial and error I have been through. All the years I spent fighting derealization. All the years I thought my life was over. All the years I thought I was living in hell just to learn this concept. I was only making it worse throughout everything that I've tried before I understood this. So it's not easy, but it's way simpler than I thought it was. Now I've decided to completely break this down for you guys. In the following steps, I'll outline the entire process from A to Z of what I did to accomplish these results, so you can too use the Freedom from Within blueprint to completely recover from derealization in weeks. Stage 1 is understanding the enemy. First, understanding what derealization is. Not what Reddit says, not what Google says, not what the false internet, the fake news you could say, says about DPDR. What derealization truly is. What the exact trigger is for why you are in the cycle. Number 2, I understood the breaking the loop. So I first had to understand like what the exact trigger was for me. Because there's always a trigger. You know, you could say, I don't feel anxiety, I don't feel these things, but there's always a trigger that gets you to be in DPDR. And if you can find that trigger, the DPDR goes away. So I found the trigger. Number 2, you have to break the fear loop. So I learned to completely break the thought loop. I learned to completely break the cycle of thinking that I was stuck in for so long. My thoughts and our thoughts are the same. We think the same thoughts every single day. It may not be the same exact thoughts, but it's the same frequency of thoughts. When you can put a pattern interrupter, something to shift the way you're thinking, you can instantly start introducing new neural pathways and ways of thinking to start changing your reality. But it all comes from breaking that initial thought loop. So I learned the power of focus, how to redirect your focus, how to transmute your ability to focus on negative things right to positive things instantly. I did that constantly. It became a habit. Started introducing that. Stage 3, take back control of your mind. So I trained that inner voice. I continue to do this and I trained that thought discipline. It brought me to stage 4 where I created a new identity. I lived in congruence with the version of myself who was already recovered. So the version of me who has already completed this journey, who has already overcome this. That's who I started to morph myself into. Stage 5, I owned my own freedom. I created a process that would help me never have derealization ever again. This is when I recovered and everything came back. Own my own freedom. Now let me show you how I was able to optimize each step of this stage for myself, so I was no longer trapped in my DPDR. I finally gained mental control, mental freedom, so I can finally live life instead of surviving. First, I had to understand that enemy, right? Understand the symptoms. DPDR is a symptom of anxiety, and there is always a trigger. There's always a trigger. So I had to deep dive into every single thing I was doing in the day. Like, what was triggering this anxiety? How was I responding to the feeling? How was I looking at the feeling? So I trained the way that I looked at the anxiety. So, for example, you could say I don't have anxiety, but I still have DPDR. That's impossible because there has to be a way of how you're responding to the feeling that is sending you back into the cycle. You could have the worst derealization of your life, and you could say, I don't have any anxiety at all. But you do, because it's the response to the feeling that is sending you back into that cycle. So I found that trigger, and it was how I was responding to it when I was socializing with people, specifically. So even when I was 90% recovered, that was one of the things I really, really had to start anchoring in. I realized it couldn't lead to anything worse. Derealization could never get worse. It couldn't get anything worse to where it was at. It was only DPDR. So I understood this. It dropped a lot of my fear. I realized that it was happening for me. So all the shame, all the regret, all the regret I had built up inside of me, I put aside. And I started to understand that this is building me into someone that I wouldn't have yet become. If it wasn't for this struggle, I would have settled for a mediocre life. But now that I've been through the struggle, I can use the struggle, weaponize it, and use it for the greater success that I want to live within my life. And DPDR was like quicksand for me. The more I fought it, the deeper I would sink. But as soon as I let go, I rose to the top. It's like the school bully analogy. I talk about this a lot in my program and with people and all this time. The school bully analogy is when the more power you give the bully, the more it's going to want to bully you. The second you don't give a fuck, you don't give a shit, it goes away. Now, breaking the fear loop. To do this, I had to drop porn, weed, drinking, vaping, medication, everything. I dropped all my vices, so I was no longer setting back into that spiral. I learned the power of non-resistance. Again, the school bully analogy, the quicksand analogy. The more you can let go, the more you can detach, the more you can just lessen that resistance, the faster you're going to recover. So I understood the concept of refocusing my mind onto more important things. I learned the art of habitual thinking. So my ability to think in the direction that was in line with my goals. The ability to think in the way of the version of myself that I wanted to become, but making it a habit. So I understood the concept of refocusing and making this a habit. So I learned how to completely take my focus off the DPDR thoughts. For example, I'd get a derealization thought that come up. I would instantly transmute a new thought into my head over and over and over again. At first, this felt weird. But when I did this on a long enough time horizon, repeatedly, it became a habit. And I started to become infatuated with this way of thinking, and I became obsessed with just the mind. But I learned that if I can instantly come up with derealization, so a derealization thought would come into my head. If I could instantly think about something good in my life, if I could instantly think about something that would benefit my life, if I could instantly think about something that different, something more positive, even what's for dinner tonight. I would get a derealization thought. I'd be like, what's for dinner tonight? Well, oh, this color is pink. I would just think whatever the hell I could think about, but I did this over and over and over again. This trained thought discipline, and it made it a habit to where my subconscious mind would do this for me. So I would start getting the derealization thought, and I would think about something else. And I wouldn't even have to do that on purpose. It would just do it for me. And over time, the 90-10 rule, the derealization got smaller and smaller and smaller in my head, and I wasn't just thinking about derealization all day. It was actual real life problems. And really understanding the concept of focus changed everything for me. You know, our brain can perceive 50 million units of information, something like that. But our conscious mind can only focus on like 50 of those 50 million. So if you can learn to manipulate and fine-tune those information that is actually being perceived by your conscious mind, you can change your reality completely. You can completely change your reality. So I started diving into this concept of I am only going to focus on the things I want. Every time it would be something else that I don't want, I would think a positive thought. I would change it. This took me a while to really make this a habit, but now I don't even think about this. Subconsciously, I just think positive thoughts. Every time it's a negative thought, positive thought comes up. And it's just a natural thing, and I only think positive thoughts because that's the person I want to claim. Like, number 2 is I started taking back control of the mind. I kicked back control of my mind completely. I started applying anything. So this is the true thought discipline that I started to anchor in. I started applying everything. I learned the concept of transurfing. So the book Reality Transurfing, I read it on my Instagram almost every single day. And it talks about so many different things. When you detach from something in this life, you can let go, and what you want comes back to you faster. I learned how balancing forces work. The more you resist with the life you want to live, the harder it is to actually live that life. I understood so many more things. I understood that the heart and the mind have to be in union. Your mind could be fully recovered, but if your heart and your nervous system and your subconscious mind aren't recovered because they don't trust you, because the actions you're taking aren't in line with the recovered version of yourself, it's so hard to recover. I learned the concept of autosuggestion. You know, our subconscious mind perceives who we are by all the actions we take. And if all the actions we take aren't in line with the greatest version of ourselves, our subconscious mind is going to perceive us to be unconfident, not happy, not the person we want to become. So I started to hold myself to a standard of excellence in every single solitary endeavor that I took on. So it was like every time I'd wash a dish, every time I'd eat a meal, I'd have to wash the dish. Every time I was running, that last mile was 100%. Every time I was in the gym, that last rep, 100%. And this forced my subconscious mind to adhere to the fact that I was a fucking winner. And what happens when you gain confidence is that confidence goes to your mind, subconscious, it goes to your nervous system, and it tells the nervous system that you are safe. And safety equals recovery. You will recover instantly when you can apply this. I learned to control my thought discipline. So every single time I would transmute. The derealization got smaller. It got smaller and it got smaller and it got so small that I forgot about it. I would go days and days without thinking about it. That's when you recover. Every time you go 5 seconds, 10 minutes, an hour, a day without thinking about it, that is full 100% recovery. So if that isn't proof that you can recover, I don't know what is. Just you not thinking about it is 100% recovery. That is what it feels to be like when you're recovered. So I trained my mind to think congruently with recovery, with the recovered version of myself. I would close my eyes and I'd imagine the version of myself that was fully recovered, and that's who I would become. And that kind of led me into resetting my identity. This is so important. So to reset my identity, I had to fully morph myself into the version of me that was already recovered. I say it all the time. If you can conceive and believe something, you can achieve it. So me conceiving the fact that I was already recovered means I was already recovered, and that's just how it was. I said every single symptom that I felt was just a lagging indicator of the past. It was a lagging symptom of the past. I was 100% recovered. So I stopped waiting to feel normal. I stopped waiting to recover first and then I'm going to feel normal. No, I said today, in the moment right now, I am already 100% recovered. So I lived in congruence with that version of myself. Something I encourage everyone to do is close your eyes and imagine the version of you that is already recovered from derealization. Not just that, but imagine the greatest version of yourself. Because the version of you that already recovered from derealization has built the discipline, he's built the consistency, he's built the perseverance it took him to get out of that struggle. So if you can live with that amount of discipline, if you can live in congruence with that person, you will recover so much quicker than you could have ever even imagined. It's like imagine the version of yourself that is already recovered. He would go out. He would talk to people. He wouldn't avoid any single situations because of the DPDR feeling. He would go work out. He would live with congruence. He would judge his day based off of action, not how he felt. He would judge his day based off of accomplishment. So I stopped judging my day based off emotion. It came from the confidence that I built came through action. So the auto-suggestion. Everything I did was up to the standard of excellence. It was up to the greatest version of myself. I created 5 to 10 non-negotiables and I lived and breathed by it, and I didn't go to bed until they were complete. And this neediness of I will do this no matter if the world is literally coming to an end. I will do these non-negotiables. I will drive towards my goals. That redirected my focus off DPDR and put it into my goals. So that OCD obsession that DPDR is, all it is just an OCD obsession. When you can become OCD about your goals, it replaces it. It replaces that obsession with something else, which makes it impossible for derealization to even have importance. So you make derealization irrelevant by living with purpose. The more purpose you can anchor in, the more life you can live, the more you can just anchor in the vision of the life you want to live in, like really focus on these goals, the less the derealization matters, because you start to prove to yourself that you can literally do all the actions that are required to accomplish your goals while you have derealization. You can still get a girlfriend while you have derealization. You can still, a girlfriend or boyfriend, whatever you can still go to the gym while you have derealization. You can still do anything with this feeling. And when you keep proving to yourself that it means nothing, it truly does go away, because it truly does lose its power. Another thing is the world isn't as it is, it's as you are. If you perceive the world to be this is your identity, if you have the identity, if you wake up in the morning and tell yourself you have derealization, well, you have derealization. That's just going to be the reality for you. If you think that things aren't real and that's how you see the world as, it's going to be boomeranged right back to you. The world is a reflection by our thoughts. If you start to think, like the life you want to live, if you start to say, this world is working through me to build me into someone that wouldn't have been possible otherwise, and every single time it's hard, you're saying, this is happening for me. The depth of my struggle is determining the height of my success. These things are all working through me. That actually starts to happen for you. but you need to have the vision of the version of yourself who's already recovered. So the gym and self-improvement. I took this so seriously and it became life or death. I had to go to the gym. To this day, ever since I dedicated my life towards recovery, I've never missed a meal. I've never missed a workout. I've never missed any of these things because I've mastered the 4 pillars of man. Mindset, habits, nutrition, training. The 4 pillars that got me into becoming the greatest version of myself. All of these things really redirected my focus towards something greater in this life. Now, I got to the ultimate progression flow state. This is the point to where I reached true mental freedom. This is where you own your own freedom. I created a process within myself to eliminate derealization forever. Because after I got in that goal state, I got to this mindset of, oh, I could have derealization for the rest of my life, and it still doesn't mean shit. It doesn't mean shit. Because I can still accomplish my goals. I can still drive the needle. I can still be one step closer towards my goals every single day. So it doesn't even matter. I can still be happy now while I have this feeling. So when I got to that mindset, it went away. I went days without thinking about it, and I would check in. I'd be like, wow, I'm real again. I started to feel real. I felt normal. I was way more confident. I was just so much better of a person. Patience plus persistence equals permanent change. When you can have the urgency, the actions you take are the urgency like you need to be recovered by tomorrow, but your expectation of the outcome doesn't matter. You could say, I could have derealization forever, and it wouldn't matter. When you can have that urgency within your action, but patience within the expectation of the outcome, it's guaranteed. You will recover so quick. It's 100% input, 0 expectation for output, and you get that output. So I let go of the past, and I also let go of what the future can consist of, and I started living in the present, which is primal living. So long term, I started to realize that if I can live primally long term, I will never fall back into the state. Because what gets us into this derealization state is being in a low frequency, is genuinely being in a low frequency, is the scrolling addiction, waking up, not earning any of your food, waking up, scrolling right away, waking up, eating food without earning the food. Just the smallest things can make us stress, which leads us to go right back into that fight or flight. So long term, I've learned to live in a state of primal living. I eat good food. I get 15K steps a day. I'm living like my ancestors would, or like the old version of myself would, like generations ago when we were thriving. And if you can live like that, you feel so much better, and it avoids DPDR forever. I also know exactly how I'm going to respond to derealization if it ever came back up. I'm not scared of it. I honestly wish I could go back into DPDR to see how fast I'd break the world record for fastest recovery. It would take me days. 2 days, I'm fully recovered. Because that is the unbreakable mindset foundation I have built through all of this struggle. Now, if you want to know what happened to me after I fully recovered from DPDR, not only was I the same person I always was before derealization, but I was 10 times stronger physically and mentally. Again, during that struggle of DPDR, you build the consistency, the discipline, the perseverance to get through out of that struggle. Those things you have to use to get out of a condition like this. And in doing so, you recover and you have these skills you can then use to continue to go towards your goals. I say you can't recover from derealization if the only goal you have is recovery. To recover, you have to anchor in goals that are greater than yourself, goals that make you work so hard for them. So all your focus is redirected towards those goals. And then my favorite part, not even like this makes discipline, consistency, and the perseverance you get mean nothing. The gratitude. The appreciation you have for life, for God, for the things around you, for yourself, just for everything around you. You love your family so much more. You feel connected to humans, your emotions. That is my favorite part. I wake up every single day like it's fucking Christmas morning because of the gratitude I have. And I wouldn't want it any other way. So I am thankful for this struggle. So now that you understand everything about this process, you understand how it works, you understand everything that I went through to overcome this, we have an offer for you. So if you're someone who is going through derealization right now, who wants full 100% recovery, this isn't 90% recovered or a little bit recovered, this is you are back and you are a better version than you were before. And if you also feel like your DPDR and your inability to recover from that derealization is stopping you from reaching your full potential, this is for you. This is for the people who know that there is a greater version of them out there that they need to bring to life. And if you're looking to feel alive again and feel real again, this is going to be for you. And lastly, building that lifelong mental freedom. So freedom isn't about having $1 million, your dream physique, a girl. It's or girl or boyfriend or whatever it is. It's about anchoring in the perception you have on your reality, controlling your own reality. So if you want to have this mental freedom to have full control over never having DPDR ever again, this is for you. So if this sounds like you, I will implement the Freedom from Within blueprint so that I can replicate this exact process for you and give you similar results in less than half the time it would take you for you to do it on your own. In less than half the cost of you doing it on your own and half the pain and headache of you doing it on your own. In fact, I am so confident that I can deliver these results that if you don't recover in the time frame we have set out, the 6 weeks, the 90 days, whatever we set out, if we don't recover in that time, I will personally stick with you and stay working with you to make sure that you recover. And if you want to see similar results to me and many of my clients getting a 100% recovery as fast as possible, the Freedom from Within blueprint is going to be for you. Inside of my program, we have an exclusive online course, everything there is to know about DPDR and recovery, your personalized action plan I create specifically for you. We have weekly growth and analysis calls. You have 24/7 access to my personal. It's guaranteed. I work with you every single step of the way towards recovery. And if you want this program specifically tailored for you, we can get on a call. First link in the description. We'll get on a call. I will see if you're a good fit for my program. And if you are a good fit, hey, we can get started. We can get you recovered as fast as possible. If you're not a good fit, I am going to be making sure that you are left at least in the right direction. And again, I am so confident in this program that if you don't recover in the X amount of time frame, I will stay with you and work with you to make sure we reach that recovery. So this video is so valuable, and this is my life's work. This is everything I put into this, and I really appreciate every single one of you guys. We are all in this together. I care about all of you guys, and DPDR doesn't have to be real if you don't make it real. You can live the life you want to live, but it comes from that choice. So if you're 100% committed, book a call. First link in the description.